If you're over 60 and you've noticed your hair getting thinner, more brittle, or falling out faster than it used to, I want you to pay close attention because there's a specific breakfast food that could make a real difference. And no, it's not some exotic superfood you've never heard of. It's probably sitting in your fridge right now. Stick around because I'm going to break down exactly why this happens after 60, what's actually going on at the root, literally, and how to use this food correctly so your body can actually use it. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Hair loss after 60 is rarely just genetics or aging. There are usually several things stacking up at once. Protein absorption declines. Hair is almost entirely made of a protein called keratin. As we age, stomach acid production drops, which means we absorb less protein from our food, even if we're eating enough of it. Nutrient deficiencies become more common, especially iron, zinc, biotin, and vitamin D. These aren't optional extras. They're literally building blocks for the hair follicle. Hormonal shifts lower estrogen in women, changing testosterone to DHT conversion. In men, can shrink hair follicles over time. Circulation to the scalp can decrease, meaning nutrients have a harder time reaching the follicle, even if they're in your bloodstream. So when we talk about food for hair health, we're really talking about giving your body the raw materials. It's likely running low on not a magic fix, but a foundational one. Somewhere inside your body right now, a decision is being made. A decision about whether your hair lives or dies. And you have no idea it's happening. It starts silently, not with a bald spot, not with a clump in the shower drain. It starts decades earlier in the walls of your stomach where something is quietly shutting down. Stomach acid, the very thing your body needs to break protein down into usable building blocks. And after 60, for millions of people, that acid production can fall by more than half, which means even if you're eating enough protein, eggs, chicken, fish, the same meals you've eaten your whole life, your body may no longer be able to unlock it. The protein passes through you, undigested, unused. While the one tissue that depends on a constant protein supply more than almost any other in your body, your hair follicle starts to starve in silence. And here's the part that should genuinely disturb you. Your hair follicle is one of the most metabolically active structures in the entire human body. It divides and rebuilds itself faster than almost any other tissue you have, faster than your skin, faster than your liver. It is, in a very real sense, in a constant race against time, a race that requires fuel every single day without exception. So when your body senses a shortage of protein, of zinc, of biotin, of vitamin D, it doesn't panic. It doesn't send out an alarm. It does something far more ruthless. It triages. It decides quietly and without your permission which organs get to keep running at full strength. The heart, the brain, the liver, and which ones get cut off first. Your hair loses that fight almost immediately. Because to your body, hair is not essential. It will never kill you to lose it. And so when resources run low, your follicles are pushed out of their growth phase and shoved into what scientists call the resting phase, telogen, a phase that ends weeks later in shedding. This is not some rare disorder. This is one of the most common causes of thinning hair in people over 60. And it has a name, telogen effluvium. And the terrifying part is this. Most people experiencing it have no idea it's nutritional. They assume it's simply age, simply genetics, simply bad luck. They never once think to look at what's happening on their plate, or more precisely, what's happening after their plate, deep in a digestive system that's quietly losing its ability to break food down. Now layer onto this a second hidden crisis. Iron, zinc, vitamin D, 3 nutrients, 3 silent deficiencies. And every single one of them has been linked in research to accelerated hair loss. Low vitamin D doesn't just weaken bones. It's been associated with certain autoimmune-driven hair loss conditions. Low zinc doesn't just affect immunity. It directly impairs the follicle's ability to repair and regenerate. Low iron doesn't just cause fatigue. It starves the scalp of the oxygen-carrying cells it needs to keep follicles alive. And after 60, all three of these deficiencies become dramatically more common. Not rare, not unusual, common. Think about what that means. An entire generation is losing their hair. Not necessarily because of some unstoppable genetic clock ticking down, but because their bodies have quietly lost the ability to absorb and use the very nutrients that keep hair alive. A slow, invisible famine happening inside people who on the outside look perfectly well fed. This is the part nobody tells you. Hair loss, for so many people over 60, is not a sentence. It's a symptom, a signal, a warning flare being sent up from deep inside the body, screaming that something upstream has broken down. And once you understand that your hair follicles are essentially the canary in the coal mine for your entire nutritional status, you start to see hair loss completely differently. Not as an inevitable defeat, but as information. As a message your body has been trying to send you for months, maybe years, before it ever became visible in the mirror. The follicle doesn't lie. It cannot fake being well nourished. It either has what it needs to keep dividing, keep building keratin, keep pushing new strands up through the scalp, or it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it shows you publicly, undeniably, on your head for everyone, including you, to see. So the real question isn't, why is my hair falling out? The real question is, what is my body trying to tell me? What has changed? What is no longer being absorbed? What is quietly running low month after month while everything on the outside still looks normal? Because by the time you see it in the mirror, the shortage has already been happening for months beneath the surface. The visible loss is not the beginning of the story. It's the final chapter of one your body has been writing in silence, one shed strand at a time. There's an object sitting in almost every refrigerator in America, ignored, underestimated, dismissed as ordinary. And it may be one of the most concentrated sources of hair-saving nutrition on the entire planet. It's not a supplement. It's not a serum. It's not something you'll find advertised with dramatic before and after photos. It's an egg. And once you understand what's actually packed inside it, you will never look at breakfast the same way again. Crack it open and you'll find something remarkable happening in that yolk. Sulfur-containing amino acids, the exact raw material your body uses to build keratin, the protein that makes up nearly the entirety of every strand of hair on your head. Not a similar protein, not a helpful protein, the actual structural protein your hair is built from, delivered in one of the most bioavailable forms found in nature. But that's only the beginning of what's hiding inside that shell. Biotin, vitamin B7. And here's the number that should stop you. Cold egg yolks are one of the richest natural sources of it on Earth. Biotin deficiency is one of the only nutrient deficiencies directly and repeatedly linked to hair thinning in clinical research. Not loosely associated, not theoretically connected, directly linked. Without enough biotin, your body physically cannot convert the nutrients you eat into the keratin your follicles need to keep producing hair. It's not a maybe. It's a biochemical bottleneck. And one single food sitting in your fridge right now may be one of the most effective ways to clear it. Then there's choline, a nutrient almost nobody talks about, quietly supporting the integrity of every cell membrane in your body, including the delicate cells inside your hair follicles. Without it, those cells become vulnerable, fragile, less able to divide and repair themselves in the relentless daily cycle that hair growth demands, and zinc and selenium. 2 more minerals concentrated inside that yolk. 2 more minerals your follicles cannot function without. Zinc regulates the oil glands on your scalp and plays a direct role in repairing follicle tissue after damage. Selenium works alongside it, protecting those same cells from oxidative stress, the same kind of cellular damage that accelerates aging throughout your entire body, including the tissue responsible for growing hair. But here's the fact that should genuinely shock you. Eggs are one of the only natural food sources of vitamin D on the planet. Not fortified, not synthetic, natural. And multiple studies have found a link between low vitamin D levels and certain forms of hair loss, including alopecia areata. Think about that. An entire population walking around vitamin D deficient, a deficiency that by some estimates affects an enormous share of adults over 60, and one of the only whole foods capable of naturally supplying it is sitting untouched. Egg white omelets served without the one part that actually contains it, because that's the tragedy hiding inside this story. For decades, people were told to fear the yolk, to throw it away, to eat only the whites, terrified of cholesterol, terrified of fat. And in doing so, they unknowingly discarded almost every single nutrient this food had to offer for their hair. The biotin, the choline, the zinc, the vitamin D, all of it rinsed down the drain in the name of a fear that current research suggests was, for most people, dramatically overstated. Imagine that. An entire generation unknowingly starving their own hair follicles of the exact nutrients they needed, not because the food wasn't available to them, but because they were pouring it out with the yolk, convinced they were doing something healthy. This is why the whole egg matters, not the whites alone, not a processed liquid substitute. The whole egg, yolk intact, is one of the most complete, concentrated nutritional packages available for a follicle that is fighting every single day to keep producing new hair against a body that is aging, absorbing less, and running low on the very materials required to keep the process going. 2 to 3 of these, a few mornings a week. Gently cooked so the heat-sensitive B vitamins survive the pan, paired with something rich in vitamin C, which helps the body absorb iron and build the collagen structures hair depends on. That's it. That's the entire intervention. No exotic ingredient, no expensive supplement stack, something most people already have sitting in their kitchen, completely underestimated. And yet the results, this simple shift, can support unfold over months, not days, because your hair follicle operates on its own timeline, indifferent to how badly you want change overnight. It takes what it needs when it's available and slowly, cycle by cycle, begins to rebuild. The question was never whether the solution existed. It was whether anyone would look closely enough at something so ordinary to see what was actually inside it. An egg sitting in your fridge this entire time, waiting somewhere right now. Someone is standing in front of a mirror 3 days into a new diet, searching their scalp for a miracle that was never going to arrive that fast. And when it doesn't show up, they give up. They assume it didn't work. They assume their body is somehow different, somehow broken, beyond repair. But what if the problem was never the method? What if the problem was simply that nobody told them the truth about time? Here's a number that should change the way you think about every hair growth claim you've ever seen online. A single hair follicle takes between 3 and 6 months just to show a visible response to a change beneath the surface. 3 to 6 months, not 3 to 6 days, not 3 to 6 weeks. While an entire industry sells you serums and supplements promising results by next week, the actual biology of your own body is running on a timeline that has nothing to do with marketing and everything to do with the slow, deliberate mechanics of cellular repair. Think about what that really means. Right now, today, the hair on your head is the visible record of decisions your body made months ago. Every strand you see was built from nutrients absorbed or not absorbed back in the winter, back in the spring, back before you even knew there was a problem, which means the changes you make this week won't show up on your head for months. You are quite literally planting a seed and being asked to trust a harvest you cannot see yet. And this is exactly where so many people get it dangerously wrong. They assume patience is the only variable. They assume if they just wait long enough, eat well enough, take the right nutrients, the hair will inevitably return. But sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, the reason is rarely a lack of effort. The reason is that something else, something bigger was happening beneath the surface the entire time. Consider this. Thinning hair can be one of the earliest visible warning signs of thyroid dysfunction, sometimes appearing before fatigue, before weight changes, before any of the symptoms people typically associate with a thyroid problem. Consider this. Anemia, a shortage of the iron your blood needs to carry oxygen, can silently starve your follicles for months, sometimes years, while your blood work sits unchecked in a filing cabinet you never opened. These are not rare exotic conditions. They are common, treatable, and almost completely invisible until something like your hair forces them into the light. This is the terrifying part. Your hair, of all things, might be the first messenger. The canary sent down into the mind of your own body, sounding an alarm about a condition that has nothing to do with diet and everything to do with a system quietly malfunctioning somewhere else entirely. And if you dismiss it, if you assume it's simply age, simply stress, simply bad luck, you may be ignoring a signal your body has been sending for months, begging to be investigated. So what does investigation actually look like? Not guesswork, not another expensive bottle promising results in 30 days. Blood work, a ferritin test to check your iron stores, not just your hemoglobin, a TSH test to check your thyroid, a vitamin D panel, a zinc panel, 4 simple tests available at almost any doctor's office, capable of revealing in a single visit what months of trial and error never could. And here's something people rarely consider. Diet alone cannot correct a severe deficiency fast enough to matter in some cases. If your ferritin is critically low, if your thyroid is significantly underactive, no amount of eggs, no amount of perfectly balanced breakfast will move the needle quickly enough without medical guidance. Nutrition is powerful. Nutrition is foundational. But nutrition is not a replacement for identifying what is actually broken. This is why the real strategy was never just about adding one food to your morning. It was about listening, about treating visible hair loss, not as a cosmetic inconvenience to be covered up, but as data, as information your body is handing you for free before things get worse in places you cannot see in a mirror. Because the truth is this: the people who see real lasting change are rarely the ones chasing a fast fix. They're the ones who did both things at once, who gave their body the raw materials it needed through food, and who investigated honestly and without fear whether something deeper was standing in the way. They stopped asking, how do I make this go away? And started asking, what is my body actually trying to tell me? And once you start asking that question, you stop being a passenger in your own health story. You start being the one paying attention. Months from now, when you look in that mirror again, you won't be searching for a miracle. You'll be looking at the evidence of a decision you made today to listen, to test, to feed your body what it needed, and to give it the one thing no supplement can ever manufacture: time.